In education, even we have like, okay, you got to graduate from kindergarten to go to grade 1. You got to graduate from grade 1 to go to grade 2.
Yep.
In entrepreneurship, somehow we're just like okay with people going from like grade 1 to grade 8.
All right, we ready? We good? We doing this thing?
Let's rock and roll.
Welcome back. Another episode, C-Suite Unfiltered Podcast.
Yeah, dude.
We have, at least up here in our neck of the woods, we're kind of on the tail end of spring rush.
Yeah.
So how are we feeling about that in general?
Good, I guess.
All right, I'm just,
we've had a very delayed, like we have not, it's not been warm.
Yeah.
So a lot of rain.
How's spring rush been for the command center?
It's been good.
For those outside of Augusta?
Yeah, but the metrics that we really were focusing on this year was no missed calls and how fast we get back to estimates. Mm-hmm. So both of those metrics have been really improved. And so we have like what we're working on the next 8-9 months before next spring rush now. But those have been the two things we tracked, and like they really nailed it.
Cool. I love it. Well, I want to jump in here. We're going totally off the cuff. Don't look at my screen. Okay. All right. I don't want any spoilers.
You have one of those screen things where you can't security
privacy
on it.
screen.
Yeah, privacy screen.
All righty. So we asked actually last pod people to put questions in the comments, leave comments. We got a lot. So thank you, everyone.
Good.
We are going to get to a couple of questions after this first topic.
Yeah.
And if we don't get to all of them today, which we might not because there were quite a few, which is great. Some of them were fantastic.
Cool.
We'll get to them in future pods.
All right.
But I want to start with this. So a friend of yours, if I can use that term, I might be using it lightly, or an acquaintance, Jonathan from Florida Turf Pros, released a video 4 days ago.
Oh, cool.
And the title of that video was "Mowing Grass Solo Makes Me Happy." All right.
Yeah.
And I want to preface this. Okay. I'm not going after Jonathan. He's an awesome guy. Yeah. But I wanted to get your unfiltered thoughts on this video, and maybe I'll share some of mine. But that is the title of the video. Being solo makes me happy, or mowing lawn solo makes me happy. Now, he goes through this video, and it's just him talking. And he's narrating with just B-roll footage of him mowing. And very soothing video, some nice music in the background. And he goes through his philosophy as to why, for some people, mowing solo will make them happier than scaling up and growing a large business. Right. Very good video. And throughout the video, he basically makes a disclaimer. He has 4 main points as to how you can be happy as a solo mower. And then he has a quote. And I actually really like the quote, so we'll tease that. The disclaimer is this: you must be okay with not getting rich. That's what he said in the first couple minutes of the video. What are your initial thoughts to the disclaimer of this video?
Yeah, it's all about what you're trying to optimize for. What is the goal? In this case, the goal sounds like to be happy. Which is fantastic. Yeah. And so if you're optimizing for happiness and it makes you happy to mow solo, then mow solo. Yeah. I happen to want more money. Yeah. And that just is different goals. Totally. So I think it's awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah. And I don't want to misquote him here. I didn't write down the whole video verbatim. But he did kind of mention like there are a lot of guys that make great money working solo. You can make $150,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And if you have some part-time laborers that help you with projects, or you sub out some work, he said you can make a really good living. He said since he systematized his business, he has more availability to do like vacations and time with his family and things of that nature. So the disclaimer is you have to be okay with not getting rich, but he's not saying that you won't make money being a solo operator. You can still make very good money being a solo operator. So his number one point to be happy mowing solo was that you must be willing to be independent. And that basically was kind of self-governance, that you have to take care of yourself. There's no clock in, clock out time. You have to manage yourself and how you handle your work. Do you want me to just run through the 4 points?
Go for it.
Get your thoughts. All right, point number 2 was prioritize work-life balance. He said this is a really good thing. Once you've figured out how to be independent and how to manage yourself, then you have the ability to prioritize that work-life balance, but you have to hold yourself accountable in order to achieve that work-life balance. He says once you can do that, kind of 1-2 punch, it's actually can be very beneficial for a lot of people. Point number 3 was embracing the physical labor. He said, you just have to realize, like, if you're going to stay small, you are the one doing all the work. And this is a point you've made before. Too many people in this industry try to get out of the field too quickly. If you're going to stay small, if you're going to stay solo, you have to realize, like, you are the one doing most of the work. And he said, and that's fine if you're okay with it. But if you're going to get burnt out in a couple of years, maybe think about scaling up. And then he kind of goes off on a tangent on that. And then the 4th point was take pleasure in the routine. And I thought this was an interesting point that it's okay to have kind of the pleasure in the routine of simple things, if you will. And it's not to say that it's bad to do the simple things. One thing that you've been recently kind of preaching to all of us at Augusta is do the boring work, right? It's like you have to just kind of take pleasure in the routine. There's boring work that needs to get done to make you successful, but you can take pleasure in it because it will create success in the long run. So,
did you see my video at Command Center
yes.
yesterday about that? Okay. That's how I was like, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So what are your thoughts on those 4 points? How do you feel about them? I'll flip this. I don't want you to get ahead or read the quote. Okay. But those are the 4 points listed out if you want to reference them.
I think it's great. Like I've always said in the past, like to me, success is contentment. And so if someone is content and they've figured out what amount of money they need to have and how many customers they want to serve, and then be able to optimize for those things, especially if they go into profit mode and every year just keep raising prices. Like if you can just understand, okay, as a solo operator, I need 50 lawns per week or 60 customers or whatever it is. And then when you hit that, you just keep raising prices, you can make it very profitable. And so it's just, what are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for money? Are you optimizing for autonomy? Like, do you want to do it, be able to have a general manager? Are you optimizing for the ability to be happy? Like, if you enjoy the mowing process, that might be what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong. I think what I'm a big proponent of is like, don't get locked in on one of these things because life changes. And so if you build a business and you enjoy the actual solo operator side of things, like mowing the grass, for example, great, do that. Establish what your threshold of number of customers is, keep raising prices and become very, very profitable at it, which gives you the opportunity and the option if something were to happen to you, if you hurt yourself, if there was a calamity, if you needed to move away for a couple months, there's enough margin to be able to scale it if needed. And so that's what I'm a big proponent of. What I get afraid of is when owner-operators are making $50,000, $60,000 a year, and if they weren't actually doing the work and they hired someone, they'd immediately make $0 in profit. They'd actually probably usually lose money. And that's the only way that I think solo operator model works in terms of someone out in the field doing all the work themselves is do it at a price that if you were to pay someone else to do the actual labor, the business can still get by. I think that's very important from a liability, insurance, and just providing for your family perspective. And that's like, I want this for everyone. Hashtag asterisk is like, if you're providing for people and you have kids, like I think it's your obligation to make sure that you're charging high enough prices. And that's the problem is a lot of the solo operators go really low on price because they don't have the overhead. What they don't take into account is the fact that if they were to get injured, everything stops because they can't go hire someone. And if they did, they would immediately be losing money.
Yeah, and that was quite a few of the comments, right? Of course, it's YouTube. Jonathan, I thought it was a great video.
Oh, it's a great video.
Great video. But yeah, a lot of the comments were like, what if you get injured? Like, this is a horrible plan.
Dude, it doesn't matter which way you go. Like the other day, I made a video about like scaling to massive. And people were like, you should go back to the basics, what about the starters? And like, and then people were like, you're talking about $1 million business. I'm just trying to get my first 5 customers, like all that sort of thing. So you can't win on YouTube. It's
of
like,
course.
You're serving which community. And I really like Jonathan because he's stuck to what he is doing and he serves that community
100%.
And so I would actually say that most people getting started in lawn care should watch his content over mine.
Yeah, I think he's a fantastic wealth of knowledge. When I kind of first started buying into, okay, maybe Augusta could be a career for me. Maybe I do need to learn more of the technical skills of this industry. I watched a ton of his content because you spoke highly of him, and he is, more technical, more in the weeds, sales tactics, mowing tactics. We recently shared a video with one of your locations employees saying, hey, this is a great video from Jonathan on how to be more efficient on properties. Fantastic video for a frontline team member to watch if they don't know how to move efficiently around a property. So he puts out a lot of great content. I think it's really good. But yeah, the hate comments are always going to be there, whichever side you go on. I saw the one you're referring to. They're like, you need to do more videos for people starting. And your response was,
I responded. Oh yeah, I responded a bunch yesterday.
You responded, or someone from your media team responded.
No, it's always me in the comments.
I figured.
Always me in the comments.
But you basically said, I've made like thousands of pieces of content about getting started, and like as I scale, my knowledge is going to grow in the scaling department, if you will. So I want to share that knowledge.
Well, it's what I'm
others.
Learning, right?
Yeah, you said I want to share that knowledge with others.
Well, and I think what I said is like there's people that followed me 5 years ago. And there's owners that joined Augusta 4 or 5 years ago that like they're not interested in like how to cut grass better.
Right.
They're like, how do I have multiple locations? How do I have general managers? How do I take capital and start to like get a loan and use the SBA and leverage and investing? And like that's what more and more my content will be. And then if people want to have the other stuff, go back to when I was going through those things and sharing those things. And a lot of it's the whiteboard way back when I was going from like 700,000-800,000 past $1 million. I had to like revamp the whole business and create a whole bunch of systems. Like I'm not doing that anymore. I'm like, now it's much more I've gone to a different place. And so I think people hopefully that followed me 5 years ago can still learn and like be right behind me and scale up. So yeah, like I'll be talking a lot, but like even next week, I'm going to be doing one about like how to start with $140,000 and start scaling multiple locations and how to do that over the course of 10 years. I'm going to lay out a budget, how to get your general managers, regional managers. I'm going to lay out the whole thing. At least that's my plan.
Yeah. I like it. So Jonathan shared his thoughts, and you and I both agree with kind of these 4 main points and the disclaimer. It's good to kind of know what you, I guess, want out of life or out of your business. Now, before we get to his final quote, I had a thought. Do you think someone, before that, say someone comes to you and they're like, Mike, I want to scale up. Like, I want to do what you did with your first location, like $1 million. For some reason, that's the magic number in a lot of people's minds. I want to have $1 million business. Okay, great. They say, I don't have a lot of resources, but like I'm going to work my, brains out to make this possible. They come to you with all that information. Would you suggest that they maybe try this route first, knowing that you can make good money as a solo operator, learn the technical skills, learn the customer service skills, and then scale up? Or do you think that this proverbial person, do you think that sometimes they just try to scale up too quickly because that's the cool thing to do?
Well, it comes down to 2 things. 1, your skill, and 2, your capital. So if you have the skill of sales and leadership, you can scale much faster without as much pain. If you have the capital to do it, you also have another ingredient required to scale up as well. And so those are the 2 skills required, or 2 ingredients required to scale up. Is like you need money to buy all the trucks and the equipment and hire more people, and to be able to scale, you're gonna have to also usually have a lower close rate, or a higher close ratio, lower price. And then secondly, you need the skill of sales to actually get the jobs. And then once you get a lot of jobs, you need to actually have the leadership skills to be able to lead your team. Yeah. And so we've seen owners that, even inside Augusta, that like within the first couple months get to $90,000, $100,000 in monthly revenue. And then they get a second location. And then all of a sudden you get a second location, and everything just like for a year. They're just trying to figure out how to manage people. And they'll burn through 3 or 4 GMs, and they're trying to figure it out. It's a whole different skill. And so even though they might have had the capital and the skill of sales, they then have to learn the skill of leadership. That's what's required for multiple locations. So you're getting me on my notes for like next week, the stuff that I have in my head.
All right.
I'm gonna lay out the whole roadmap. I think it'll be a long video because I did one yesterday. Where I'm just playing with like Tuesday of releases on the main channel. Obviously Alex is inspiring this. I'm just gonna go like super deep next week, I think, and just see what happens. It's gonna be like a full out roadmap of a 10-year roadmap, but everyone is gonna roast me in the comments because they're gonna be like, well, the first thing is you gotta get $140,000 in cash. And I'm like, and that might take you 5 years before this.
It's called investing.
But it might take someone 5 years of this to get the $140,000, and then they can start that roadmap. But I believe that there's a lot of this content that's out there from like 4 or 5 content creators like Jonathan, and I'm trying to create like, okay, what do you do after you have the $140K? Where do you go from there? And that's what we're trying to do.
Do you think, I agree with you. There's a lot of nuance. There's many variables in this situation. I want a blanket statement from my candies. Do you think that this is a better route for someone that it says, I want to scale up, I want the $1 million business?
Do they have money?
No. Just no. I just want the blanket statement. The average person.
No, then definitely this is the right way to do it.
This is the right way to 100%. Do it.
100%.
Start small, figure out solo operator. Be profitable.
Pay as if you could pay an employee, would you still be profitable? Like we were just talking about Max up in Vancouver. He in what he was talking about.
One of our owners in Augusta.
Vancouver, BC. Let's go Canada. And so, the first year, not a lot of profit. Second year, not a lot of profit. This year, he's like, okay, I kind of want to move out of this province. It's extremely expensive. And to do that, though, you got to make a profitable business and then be able to pay a general manager in addition to your revenue. So I liked what he did is he actually calculated in his wages, and then he's able to make 30, I think it was like 34 to 37% profit the past several months. Now it makes sense. You can actually make it work. But if you would have just stayed small by himself, even if you really optimize it, it's very difficult to like actually bail. So he has to optimize his business for his objectives, which is get out of the country, get out of the province, and be able to move, still have enough profit for a few employees, a few trucks, and a general manager to run and be very profitable. But it takes 3 years. So it really comes down to like, what are you optimizing for? And then realizing if you're going to scale, the delay of gratification keeps moving further and further down the road. So like, you're like, I want $1 million business. Great. expect 5 to 10 years.
Right.
Right. If you're trying to just get a route and make it optimized and profitable, you can do it this way within like 6 to 12 months. And so most people should do this. They should get profitable, hit capacity, raise prices, become very profitable, and then it's a much safer route to grow and scale. But it's just a slower method. So it's like, how fast do you want to do it is also a massive question that has to be asked when it's like, which route should I go? It's like, how fast do you want to do it? Like, if you want to build $1 million business in 5 years, get ready to like live on beans and rice, not put any money into your personal life if you don't have any cash reserves, and you're going to be like just working like a dog.
Yeah.
If you're willing to take 10 years, very different, because you take this route, make it profitable, to kind of go Max's route, get a great GM, like you really do it slower, you do it more profitably. So it's like, what do you want out of life? Is like, what are you optimizing for?
Yeah, and you could even argue that this way, starting solo, being profitable, right, that you could, in theory, do it faster. If not do it faster, it's a higher success rate.
Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, would you rather do it faster or would you rather do it?
Yeah.
Like, you have a higher success rate of doing it with this route. Or you can try to do it faster, just know it's much riskier.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, this is the quote that Jonathan puts in at the end.
Okay.
I took a screenshot here.
Okay.
We must know the difference between contentment and settling for less than we are worth. There is no shame in ambition, nor is there peace in devaluing ourselves. Press on towards your worth with contentment as a beacon.
Yeah. Success is contentment.
Yeah. That's a good quote.
Yeah.
I just liked it.
Wait, did he actually say this is a quote in Reddit, or did he just say
No,
this like off the
him.
rip? Just off the rip?
Well, no, he said he had been journaling.
Oh, okay.
He had been journaling.
I was like, that is a very deep
Yes.
couple of sentences.
Yes. No.
Say out loud.
No, so in his video, he said he'd been journaling and he'd
Sweet.
been thinking about this a lot before he released the video. And this is kind of a compilation of some thoughts he had in his journal. He put it into one nice kind of quote that he's been ruminating over.
Okay, the audience needs to make sure that Jonathan gets a hold of this video, since we talked about him for half the time. So that's good. Yeah,
but
that's
it's
really
great. It's really good content.
Yep.
I think that this is a fantastic piece of advice. If you are, and part of the reason I was probing so much on, the person that wants to scale up. I think if you are listening and you are the person that wants to scale up, or you're in that solo operator, 2-3 employees, like, go watch this video.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out at this level before you scale up. Because even for me, it was kind of nice to like bring me down to earth. Like, we're building this really big thing. It's great. It's fun and it's exciting. But it's like, oh yeah, like these are the people we're doing it for. We're trying to help the solo operators, the people that do want to scale up. And I think Jonathan like has his niche, and he's just a great representative of like professionalism in this industry. And we need more people like him. And so I thought, great video. Wanted your thoughts on it.
Yeah, people that like in education, even we have like, okay, you got to graduate from kindergarten to go to grade 1. You got to graduate from grade 1 to go to grade 2.
Yep.
In entrepreneurship, somehow we're just like okay with people going from like grade 1 to grade 8.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? It's like, well, where do you graduate? Like, well, have you made a profitable business? Have you hired your first employee? No, I'm going to go like 5 locations from day 1. It's like, whoa. Do you have the money? Do you have the skills? Like, those are requirements. And so because in entrepreneurship, there is no grades and there's no graduation from level to level to level. And people do believe, and everyone moves at such different rates. That's what's difficult about it. Like how fast you progress up those ladders, that chain. But like the most systematic way of producing an outcome, which is like a high school graduate, is to go through every single level stage by stage.
Yeah. So you're pro standardized education now? Because on a previous pod you were very anti.
So predictable outcome is different than looking at the outliers.
I just want to make sure I'm just checking. All right. Well, now that made my brain take an interesting turn here.
Okay.
Now this is what I want to do.
Okay.
I want to know your thoughts on immediate red flags when someone's talking to you about scalability. Like when they're saying, I want to go from kindergarten to 8th grade. I want to go from kindergarten to a master's program. What are your immediate red flags? I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just subcontract that out.
Oh yeah.
Just like what are some of your red flags?
Red flags, it kind of comes back to what I always said, is like, do they have the skills of leadership? And then do they have the capital to do it?
Yeah.
If they don't have either of those things, it'll just be 10 times more painful.
Yeah, but I want just like a quote. Someone would say to you, like if I came to you and I was like, I want to go from kindergarten to 8th grade, and you asked me like how I'm going to do that work, I'd be like, oh, I'll just subcontract it out.
Yeah.
That's going to be a red flag for you. What are some other quotes?
Anytime.
We want the juicy stuff.
Anytime the word just is used.
Oh, okay.
You just said,
Yeah.
I'll just.
Yeah.
Anytime the word just is used, you throw all
because it's not a plan. Is that why?
Because they're diminishing the amount of work and effort required to make it successful.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Anytime the word just is used, just throw it out and just like, oh man, it's gonna be so hard for you.
Well, now you all know. If you talk to Mike, don't say just. I'll just do X. All right.
I try not to be nitpicky at people's language.
I know you aren't, but it's like there's obvious moments where when somebody says something, it's like the alarm bells go off.
I use the word just way too much.
Yeah.
I learned this when writing the book, dude. It's a passive word.
Yes.
So you can throw out the word just anytime, and it will never change a sentence. There's a lot of things I say that's very passive words. Not like, by the way, passive is not passive aggressive. It's like a different type of voice. I add way too many adverbs to my when I talk too.
Yeah. I haven't finised, but
so for example, like instead of saying you should do that quickly, I should just say you should go do that.
Yeah.
It's like I don't need to throw the quickly part in there. That's just passive.
Yeah, I have a moment like that. My 7th grade English teacher, Mr. Hager, like drilled this into our brains. He hated this. This is a water bottle. Also, this is a water bottle. There's no reason to say also, but we say it. So many writers say it. It's just this is a water bottle. This is a water bottle.
Right.
You don't need to say also. It's a filler word.
Right.
But a lot of writers use it.
Unless you're trying to make it a joining statement.
He would disagree.
Really?
There's really no point. Just make the statement.
But if you're trying to compare something, like Lee is tall. Also,
nope.
Mike is short.
Yeah, you could just say Lee is tall, Mike is short.
No, I get what you're saying. I think if you're trying to make a comparison, though.
Yeah, but you don't need to.
Okay, all right.
It's a filler word.
I agree. Trust me, I've been cutting so many words. I cut over 1,000 words out of just filler words.
Yeah.
Out of 48,000.
Yeah. That's the same thing with me on my Zoom calls. I have an AI assistant that tracks all my filler words.
Oh, right.
I've gotten really good at eliminating a couple.
Yeah.
And I've increased on others. It's really annoying. I hate it. I used to say so all the time. We talked about this.
I say the same thing. Yeah.
I used to say so all the time. I've gotten that down very low, but I filled it with you know. And I hate that. You know is worse.
That's
you know? It's horrible.
You just said it right now.
Well, that was an example. That was intentional. Yeah. Anyways, here we go. We're going to jump into some questions now.
Okay.
We got a few from the last pod. Okay. So this is from @allashore.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. Do we know
I just know the username.
All right, fair enough.
I think you did a coaching call with me recently.
He said, I didn't know we could ask questions. Of course you can. It's the internet. If people can leave hate comments, you can ask questions. It's fine. Everything's allowed. All right. What are Mike's views/strategies for company trucks that employees take home? It seems very common in certain home service industries, and I see a lot of different ways that you could do it. Example, some places leave the employee responsible for repairs and maintenance. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do believe this works in some fields where you can afford to pay the employee more than $35 an hour. And I know there's like a broad stroke here, and everyone's gonna jump on me for saying this, but like HVAC, electrical, garage doors, those industries where they're become very technical and they're able to pay $35 to $40 an hour, that type of applicant, usually you're okay with them driving your company trucks. Mm-hmm. If you have a lower margin service where you're paying someone $20, $25 an hour, most of the time you wouldn't want 100% of those people driving trucks, and it causes so much more headache than the upside that goes to the employee and the upside that comes in efficiency gained by not having to drive to the office. And that stinks, but the bottom line is if you can't have 100% of people, you can't have the system. You can't have it where it's like, yeah, like if I like you, if I trust you, right, I'll give you a truck. And you could tie it to like, hey, if you've worked with us for a year, for example, mm-hmm, but then it makes where half your workforce is coming to the office and the other half of your workforce is going from their house, and it becomes now your least skilled people don't have the skilled people to actually manage or like oversee or overlook what's going mm-hmm on. So you can actually get a very weird distribution of how your culture shifts. I've seen that happen before. Yeah.
I know that we have a couple owners inside of Augusta that do it, and I off the top of my head haven't heard any horror stories. Yeah. But that's not to say there isn't the oddity that it can happen, right? Yeah. Or something bad happens. Okay.
It really comes down to also like the owner's involvement. I think if the owner's very hands-on, it can work a lot more. As soon as you start making it more passive, you're now like layers removed from employees taking trucks home. And the one time I let someone take a truck home, it got in an accident, baby. Yes. And that literally cost that was hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. And so It's like, well, is it worth the extra hour? Is it better for employees? Absolutely. Is it a benefit? Yes, absolutely. Is it worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? That's tough.
Yeah, my question too, and this is more not directly to you, it's more theoretical, is will this mean that the trucks are better taken care of or worse?
Yeah, it could go both ways, right?
Exactly.
And you can have standards around what needs to be done.
Right.
Like but then it becomes like, okay, now we're starting to manage this system that was supposed to save us time, and now we're like tracking trucks more. We're requiring gas stuff. We're requiring fuel, number of miles. Mm-hmm. Now they have to get cleaned. Now we have one truck goes down, but they are like, I need this. I want it like fixed right now. And like there's no demand. Yeah. And so it's just expectations, managing expectations, I think is important. I'm not against it. I think it's really, really good, to be perfectly honest. On like 80% of accounts, mostly it's positive. Mm-hmm. But I also have been stung by it. And so I know what the cost of it can be if something goes wrong. And you become liable for a lot of the things that they do off the clock. Mm-hmm. And, if they do have a DUI in your vehicle, like this can affect you. Mm-hmm. And they crash into someone else's vehicle, it can affect you.
Right.
So these are the type of things just to think about.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'd be totally down for it. Like I think that, as we move all the trucks at the Bellingham shop to like all brand new trucks, for example, mm-hmm. and then we get to the new headquarter building where there's a lot, we can lock it down how we want and build it the way we want. And then we increase wages and we increase prices significantly more once we go back on profit mode. I would consider it.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think there's pros and cons both ways.
Yeah.
As an employee, I guess let me speak as the employee in the room. I don't care either way. Mm-hmm. I've never really wanted a company car or vehicle.
The argument for it, in my opinion, is the amount of time it takes to drive to the office, get things set up, blah, 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 versus just having it in your truck and you go to your first job from your house.
Yeah.
I think that it works really well for certain industries. And for our industry, I haven't seen it work as well, mm-hmm. and I've seen too many downsides. Yep. But man, home services in general, I'd make the blanket statement that if you can get there, great. And if you can get the trucks nice enough and pay enough to the employees to hire a high enough applicant in terms of quality, then I'd be down for 100%.
Yeah. One of my neighbors right across the street, he's in the trades. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, he has a company van, right? Just one of those cargo vans. And I can guarantee he's clocking in as soon as he starts it up in the morning, and then he pulls into his driveway, and then he's clocking out. That is kind of a nice benefit 100%. For sure.
Yeah. And then you got people like some of the owners we were just talking about, like that they don't have to have any sort of shop space, really.
Right. It's all in the van.
It's all in the van. It comes down to like, okay, well, why would you need a space still? Well, are there tools that sometimes go out? They need storage. Anyways, if you need a dump material, like, do you go to a dump? Well, then yes, you're okay. But if you do have to have a collection site, well, you're having space anyways. But if you can somehow figure out a model, like especially because with Command Center where you don't have any space, dude.
Save you some money.
You get a truck or a van set up where it's like every employee goes to their house. They work from there. You manage from your office, like their routes, their schedules, all the rest of it. Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Another question here from Urban Roots Landscaping. We know Dylan.
Let's go.
Yes. All right. He said, because we were talking about Christmas lights on the last pod, he said, we keep busy through December with fall and leaf cleanups. Do you feel it would still be useful to get into Christmas lights? We slow down more in January, February. Thanks.
Yeah, so the goal here is, like, in January, you're usually taking down the lights. And most people leave their lights up for, like, 2 to 4 weeks in January. So you can keep January busy. And then, for example, because I know his market, then you could technically only have about 2 to 3 weeks of downtime. Because you're still going to stay busy-ish. Like, if I looked at revenue, I can almost guarantee, like, because I know his business. So
yes,
I bet it's, he probably does 90 to 100,000 in, like, September. And then like 70 to 80 October, 50 to 60 in November, and then like 30 to 50 in December.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can keep it all at 80 to 90 all the way strong to the end of December, then keep the crew busy taking down lights during January, storing, getting everything reset up. And then really you have like 2 to 3 weeks in February, like the end of January and last week or two of our first couple weeks of February, and then we go right into spring rush and like train your guys the last part of February to go into March 1st.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like, I think for someone like him, the Christmas lights would probably just take his off season from like 2 months to like 2 weeks. But that 6 weeks could be the difference between, having to cost $40,000-$50,000 in the hole during the winter versus making $30,000 to $40,000.
And potentially keeping staff year round. Yep. Because if you can increase that gap that you were saying from say $30,000 to $50,000 up to 80 to 90 with Christmas lights, now you can staff year round.
Yep.
And you'd only have maybe a couple weeks of downtime, late January, and then hey, maybe just give people some time off or whatever it is.
And you start. This is the other benefit is the fact that you stay on the aggressive throughout the winter, meaning you're getting new leads, and all of the people who are hanging Christmas lights, they're probably likely to be great candidates for mowing services, landscaping services, etc.
Yep.
So you actually you get all this database of leads, even if they don't buy lights and actually buy from you, they then convert right into like great candidates for one-click estimate emails and upsells.
Yeah. I love it. Fantastic. All right. Another question here.
All right.
This is from Joe Gonzalez. He said, this is a tax question.
Tax.
How should we be paying ourselves and say we hire someone for bigger jobs? How should we pay them? My business is about 50 residential customers and 2 commercial, which adds up to around 580. So I don't know if he left off a number there.
58,000?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he meant that. Anyways, we have 2 commercial mowers, 3 push mowers, a work truck, and a trailer, and everything is paid off. Me and my brother own the business. We do guaranteed payment checks. We're kind of scared to put money into ads because we might hit capacity quickly. I don't. Why
would that be a problem?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right.
This is the question.
I'm afraid to run ads because I might get customers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So how should we go about paying ourselves?
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know if the total, I'm trying to figure out what that means.
Okay. So if you're paying yourself and you and your brother, I think he's saying that the 2 commercial add up to like probably 580 a month.
Oh, the 2 commercial. Got it.
Okay. So I think in terms of paying yourself, just take distributions, make sure that you file an 1120S so that you don't have to pay self-employment tax. Which will help a little bit for you and your brother. And then if you're hiring a person occasionally, the correct answer is use Augusta or QuickBooks and hire that person with a W-2, et cetera. But like if it's one off, like out of the blue, okay, like off the record, you probably are going to pay them cash. Like I'm just not going to believe that you're going to hire someone for 2 days and actually run them through a W-2.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that. So that's usually what most people do. If you're hiring someone consistently though, I do recommend for the sake of liability, and no one thinks about this until someone does get hurt. And we work around things that you can get hurt. So like, I don't recommend if you're consistently hiring and having someone work for you, that you should not, put them on a W-2.
Fair enough.
Do it legally.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you more. Yes. You're going to have to pay for software. You have to pay more taxes. You're going to have to pay for workers' comp and all the rest of it.
Yeah. And then we're kind of scared to put money into ads because we might hit capacity quickly.
Yeah. So do whatever you can to get to capacity so that you can raise prices. And those prices will then be able to afford more ads that will then refill the hopper if you lose any of your customers when you raise prices. Because those 50 mowing customers, if that's your capacity right now, I would just get to that as quickly as possible, raise prices, do it again, raise prices, keep going.
Fantastic. All right. Last question.
Sounds like he doesn't like money.
Yeah. It's like, do we want the money?
We need money. I'll take it. Hey, if you hit capacity, I'll pay for your ads and you can give me all the profit when you raise prices.
Yeah. There we go. All right. This one is from Mowmen Lawn Care Services. My name is Phelps with Mowmen. My question is this. I am currently trying to save up money to move out of my parents' home once I'm finished with college. However, I am in growth mode and still try to use as much money in the business as possible. I want to know the best way to save that money so I can buy an acreage or my acre and a tiny home, which will cost just under $200,000. I bring in around $21,000 in revenue each month and just want some advice on how I can save the money. For reference, I am waiting to move out until the beginning of 2026. So 18 months he's trying to move out.
Oh, great. Okay, so then you have a lot of time. So you're going to need 3 years of good tax returns. So I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that last year wasn't super profitable because you're in growth mode. So I would try to make this year and next year super profitable. So you can go to a bank and you can say, hey, I got 50 grand as a down payment. That's assuming a conventional mortgage. You only really need about 10 to 15 grand in cash to actually get a government backed loan. Yep. You can like 5% down. So 5% down on 200,000, like you literally can get into a house for 10 grand. So it's a matter of, will you actually be able to get an FHA loan? Yep. So first homeowner loan is great. You get 5% down. You're going to pay some property mortgage insurance. If you can get an acre though, it basically covers what you'd otherwise pay in storage or rent for your business. So I'd just be focused on profit. Like if you can do 21,000 right now in growth mode, if you raise your prices, you could bring another $3,000 to the bottom line if you raise by 15% prices. That $3,000 will pay for the mortgage,
right,
and more. So it's like, can you stack away $15,000, qualify for an FHA loan, and you have 18 months to do that? I would just stay in profit mode a little bit and optimize for profit so you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good advice. I would say, would he switch to profit mode right now, knowing that it's summer, or maybe try to kind of stay in growth mode for the rest of this year, and then all of 2025 go to heavy profit mode? Again,
the goal I have heard is that he wants to buy property, and that is his main objective.
Right.
If that's a negotiable, and you're like, well, how bad do you want to buy the property versus how bad do you want to grow the business? Well, I have heard that this property is important to him. Therefore, I'm optimizing for that. If you're trying to optimize for growing the business and that means more to you, it means like kick that thing off for 5 years. You don't have to worry about profit mode and grow the thing faster. But I'm basing this based on what the objectives are.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, any non-financial advice for the people? I think that's all I got for today.
Okay, you start us off.
I got a simple one, very straightforward. No shame in self-promotion, if you will.
Oh, very good.
If you have not taken the MBA for Entrepreneurs course, check it out. I've been revisiting some of it. Okay. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Yeah, so it's your course, MBA for Entrepreneurs. It's really good.
Have you seen the recent consulting calls up there?
I have not. I'm not up to date on all of those.
Got it, yeah.
But yeah, I've been revisiting some of the just random sections, just refreshing.
Yeah. Like I'd say 3 to 4 weeks, I put a new coaching call or like consulting call or a webinar or something in there. Those are good.
Yeah, they are good. They're a little bonus content on the end.
Yeah.
I feel like some people might not even know they're there.
Yeah.
So they're great.
My non-financial advice. Oh, dude, I'm blanking. Oh, dude, you gotta get security cameras. I've been robbed twice.
Oh, yes, yeah,
twice, dude. Stinks. So yeah, someone came through my window the other day while I was at church and stole stuff.
This was on the weekend.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm getting security cameras, and I just gotta like buckle down a little bit. I'm like, so we were raised in the country up until I was, oh man. We were always in the country, so we didn't lock doors or anything.
Yeah.
And so, it's just annoying. It's annoying because it's been at the tiny house and my house, and so now it's like, okay, I gotta lock this down. Yeah. And those are both the places where I've filmed before.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't like to be paranoid. Yes. I like to just like live my life, especially. Totally. So it's just a little bit weird. So it was funny. They stole all my watches, bro.
Dude,
I got a couple
sucks.
here. I got a couple here, fortunately.
Yeah.
That were given to me by the owners. But yeah, it stinks.
Yeah, it stinks. Sorry, man.
Yeah, dude. It's just like a weird, like I don't even really care about the watches because they're not like super valuable. But it's just like, oh man, I got a security camera.
Yeah.
And all that.
It's a weird feeling. I've had my truck broken into twice.
Oh, really?
I think people just assume big truck, canopy, probably got tools or whatever in it.
Yeah.
And one time I had like this really nice Leatherman I got as a gift, and it was like a high-end Leatherman, and that was the only thing they stole. This is like the only thing of value in my truck.
Yeah.
It sucks, dude. It's a weird feeling.
They missed out on some other very valuable things in the house.
Well, like the cameras. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Dude, it was right next to everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the other time they stole the cameras.
Oh, okay.
And that was like $5,000. So, anyways, life goes on, but I just don't like. I don't like have to even think about it. It's weird in your house because like it's your private space.
Totally.
And so
totally.
Yeah, I don't like putting cameras up either because like it feels like I don't trust anyone else that comes into the house because like I've the cleaning person and then like they pick up the laundry and like I just leave the door open and let them in.
Yeah.
And so now it's gonna be like, hey, FYI, there's a security camera. It's not because I don't trust you. It's because I don't trust other people.
Yeah.
And so I don't like that. In general, I try to keep like the team and stuff away from things like security cameras and checks, and I wouldn't want that. Like we don't scam people's computers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a trusting environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sucks when someone outside of your environment violates that
trust and verify.
Yes. All right, I think that's everything for today.
Sweet.
That's the pod.